Hi, this is Sonny. Let's talk Shuai Jiao basics. There's a saying in Shuai Jiao that I really love. 一年jiao ru 三年春. It translates as 1 year of Shuai Jiao is worth 3 years of striking arts or other martial arts. And so that's a lot of mojo to bring into a saying, right? It's important, in my opinion, to look past the slogan, look past the saying into how deep practice can embody these arts. And this is something my teacher, Liu Zhuguang, who was a student of Baibu, always tried to impart, that this is a study of the art to get better. So if we look at that, 1 year of Shuai Jiao is worth 3 years of other arts. What year are they talking about? Well, if you're only going to train 1 year, it's the first year. So it might not be just about getting into competition and going and doing tournaments and competing in Shuai Jiao in that manner, because that's more like Thunderdome, right? 2 men enter, 1 man leave. Well, the competitive aspect of Shuai Jiao is definitely beneficial, but that's only one aspect, right? It's not always been just trained as a competitive sport. It was trained and still is trained by many people as a Kung Fu system, where you're looking at it as a microcosm of the arts of Kung Fu, just Shuai Jiao. How does Kung Fu just train wrestling? Because most arts are more weighted towards striking. The Shuai Jiao and the Shuai Fa is a more specialized art. Remember, Shuai Jiao has been there for a long time in many different forms, parts of it coming from different cultures of China, so that wrestling is very much part of culture. And so it's always had that influence, but Shuai Jiao is that melting pot, right? Really, especially during the Qing dynasty when the Beijing style was really defined, and we get all these training aspects that are characteristic, 代表性, we say in Chinese, which means representative, of the art of Beijing style, which is like using the implements, all of the solo movements, the basic training, the things that allow you to walk into the art as a stark beginner or having done other Kung Fu and be able to get right after it, and from either of those places. So it's a really great practice. When we look at that first year, to me, it's about the basic training. It's about getting into your basic Kung Fu, understanding the method of Shuai Jiao, so you can create that contrasting perspective to your other arts that you're training, which are working in a lot of different spaces, right? Almost every other art is gonna have striking, kicking, joint locks, their wrestling techniques, and weaponry, right? But then you come to Shuai Jiao and it's like, no, we're just doing Shuai Jiao from the Kung Fu perspective, and we're gonna train it to really pull out the Kung Fu body method. It proves out that wrestling is a great core art. It's a great art to train the body method. You see it in UFC, you see it all over the place with people coming from wrestling backgrounds, and then being able to go from learning from having a wrestling base to being able to strike easier than having a striking base going to wrestle, right? So that idea of onboarding basic fundamental wrestling skills is good for every martial artist, and that concept has been around for a long time. So Shuai Jiao does that. That's a different dynamic in many ways to striking. It's not out here, bam. It's in here and out, right? That's a whole different dynamic, and so you need that specialized training to be able to evolve that to a higher degree. So let's get after it. So first, to do both of these, you're gonna need to visualize your training field, right? The space that you're moving in. You wanna be moving in a space that is 1 step. So 1 step, right? 1 step. So think of a box with 4 corners. You're standing on the 2 back corners. There's a corner in front, 1 step, directly in front of your right foot, and there's another corner directly in front of the left foot. So now we have linear angle that we can step in and diagonal that we can step in, okay? And so we want to be able to perceive that. Now we want to be able to perceive it in natural stepping, so we're not going from here way over here, because this is about wrestling. We know we're close to the person. We're in grabbing distance. So it needs to be a closer in step. And we're also going to be down low. And so we've got that's going to be affecting our stepping patterns as well when we move into these steps. Okay, so we've got our box, we've got our 4 points. Now, back step is stepping to our back, stepping behind the knee. Okay, so think of your knee. You're going to step first across, lining up the knees, right? Then you're going to step behind the knee onto a parallel line. You see, you haven't stepped off the line. You haven't stepped too behind. You're on a parallel line. You're on that other corner of the box. And then from there, turn. And now you've turned and you're facing the other direction right there. And you can step across to the other corner and you're on that line and you step behind, turn. Okay? This is the basic pattern. So let's look at that again. Stay low. When you step to full, right? So don't step to empty. So there's no weight there. Step to full. Step to full. Then step to full, step to full. That means your weight goes right there. Your weight's down on that back leg now, and now you have to catch it through the strength of your kneeling leg, and you can turn, boom. So this leg feels like there's some propulsion coming from it. So you've got to make that step has to make an empty change of the weight. Okay? So you step across, turn into that foot, and turn. And so you see I turn low, and I've been able to keep my hips down. And I'm coordinating the movement from the hips to the waist to the shoulders. Now, so let's talk about our shoulders. When I'm here, my shoulders are lined up forward. As I step to full, the shoulder goes with it. Boom. Okay? It went with that foot. Now, the shoulder is going to go with the opposite foot. Okay? Boom. Here. Now, you see how I pulled it over? So I've got now a twist. I have naturally come into a twist. I didn't twist like before I stepped. I twisted as I stepped. Shoulder, shoulder. Now you feel a little more precarious. You should. This is training. You got to find that edge. And then turn. Get the hands projecting forward. Stay low and ready to move forward. So if I do this from the side, okay, I step to full, turn. And I'm here, ready to go forward. We want forward momentum on this, okay? So you got to remember, we're stepping, and there's going to be a person somewhere here. Don't worry about them yet. We need to work off the box. The people are going to be at angles. We need to work off the box right now, okay? Here. So here's our box. Turn your box, okay? So find a little bit of a squeeze into your arms. Keep the hands in front of the shoulders for now, okay? The hands stay in front of the shoulders. So here, you see how they offset and stayed in front of the shoulders? Stay in front of the shoulders. Stay in front of the shoulders. And when you're doing this, when you're first learning it, stick to the strong side to onboard it, and then as soon as you can, start working left and right, like this. This is me doing the pattern left and right. So okay, now when you're doing this, we're working a couple different places. First, we want to work each point. 1, 2, 3. Check it. Check each point. Pause at each point. Find structural integrity at each point. 1, 2, 3. And here, heels are down, but your energy is ready because we're turning into, got to get ready for a throwing position. All right, so I'm going to grab Brian here. This is Brian, my throwing person. Okay, he's named after my Kung Fu brother, Brian. He's one of my oldest Kung Fu brothers and training partners. Great training partner, hard to throw, just like this Brian. And so we look at this. Why are we doing back step? It's not about teaching a technique right now. It's just looking at how this footwork works. Because where do we need access to energy, right? But if I'm here and I back step in, okay, here in the position and turn, okay, I need the energy right when I turn. I need my turn to pop him off the ground, right? So right into position. So that's why we work our back step. So that in the way that we do, so that when we step here, we turn. And so that energy is going, and it's going to get that person in the back. So our energy is not turning like, this way. Our energy is turning here to bring it into us, strong into us that we're gonna need to then project over, okay? And so back step is getting us into that position by stepping behind the knee and work on the box. Why? Because I mentioned that your techniques oftentimes are at angles or offset. So you got to know your box so that when you understand where your box is, okay, you can offset your box so that when you step, you're in the right position, right? And you can create the right spot for techniques. So back step. Tip on back step, don't step beyond the box. So in a lot of Kung Fu forms, you do here, right? To turn as you go. Here, that would look like this. Step to that line and then step all the way again to that one. That's not on the box. So make sure for Shuai Jiao, you step there because we're creating this twist to bring into position, okay? Now, the next one that is very similar to back step, but is done differently. Cover step, or in Chinese, Gaibu. Back step is Baibu for Chinese. So for cover step, we start off the same. Remember, we're going to the same position, a twisted position. I step across to full. Now in back step, I step behind the knee. In cover step, you step over your knee to get to that position and turn, okay? So a little more challenging, right? I'm gonna go the other side too, so I do both sides. So here, so instead of behind, I literally step over my own knee. Find my balance, connect to full, and turn. Now, this stepping pattern can be connected directly to techniques, but like I said in the beginning, we're looking for the onboarding of the body method because there are a lot of different ways to use this without directly using it. Just the same thing with back step, right? There's times when you split into a back step from a split stance, into a split stance, or a cover step that goes low, or you learn how to move like you're doing cover step so you can get into better positions for techniques, more rooting, more grounding into each leg, which is what footwork is about, okay? So once again, we step over and turn. And once again, the shoulders have to go. So they go with it here and they're still gonna go, but now goes over the top, right? To turn. Turn. And we still want to work like we did in the other one. First, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And finding active into your stance. And then when you get better, connect it with a rhythm, right? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And then when you can start going left and right, stepping over with the left, right? Stepping over with the right, stepping over with the left. Then you're going to start getting more fluency, which means it comes out more natural over time. So cover step, back step. And like I said, cover step, there are direct ways to feel how this movement will affect the body. There's also strategy and techniques. And so not every movement is for every person, right? Or for every technique. But for example, here, this one is a little bit awkward if you don't have as much space coming through to get into position, right? There's not much space, but you can get it through and in. So it's good for working your body method, good for using, learning how to work in close with another person more dynamically once you catch the body method correctly. So first off, remember, body method, practice, practice, practice. Each move, 20 times, 10 each side, 3 rounds each. That's my recommendation. Stay low Work slow and low for the first round. Add intensity as the rounds go. But in the first round, work it slow and low, right? There's two heights, low and lower, okay? And then try to catch that dynamic quality out of it. And then notice where it goes. As time goes on, I'll show you some ways to advance this into what we call Baibu, or jumping step, or bouncing step, where now instead of having to step into position, you can do a more dynamic entry for your techniques, which is what starts to open the door for more dynamic applications, right? If you're in those places and you can now hop more cleanly into place to get access to the technique. And so, there you go. Yinian Jiao, Ru Shinian Chun. 1 year of Shuai Jiao is worth 10 years of other arts. That's a little too much ego for me. I don't like to look at it like it's that much better. It's more of how can we, as the student, grab the value out of it and just work it and get into our Kung Fu. So, have fun with it. Shuai Jiao, Baibu, and Gaibu. Now, most people struggle in their martial arts practice because they don't know what to train, how to train it, or how today's practice connects to long-term skill. This isn't a content library, it's a place to train. My goal isn't just to show you techniques, it's to teach you how to train in a way that actually builds skill over time. The Grove is built around two things: clear, structured courses that establish fundamentals, and live training that turns those fundamentals into real, usable skill. As a member, you'll have access to all training courses and all archive sessions. The courses are structured as focused mini courses. They give you clear fundamentals and specific training points you can practice on your own. In the Shuai Jiao course, I cover Beijing Shuai Jiao fundamentals, including solo warm-ups, waist drills, leg movements, footwork, solo techniques, basic partner work, application theory, and detailed technical breakdowns. In the Bagua course, it will include both traditional Liang and Chung style Bagua. We train Bagua movement methodology for both the upper and lower body, circle walking basics, flowing sets, palm changes from basic to advanced. We also train Bagua applications and weaponry like the classical Bagua Dao. These courses are designed to give you a strong base while creating a clear pathway into more advanced training that you can continue to develop over time. Live training is where everything comes together. Each week I run 2 one-hour live training sessions. These aren't lectures, they're real training classes. Each session includes a guided warm-up, focused training for the day, demonstrations, and key technical points. If you have your camera on, I'll give you feedback whenever possible. We review past material, work on transitions, and build skills progressively so your training stays connected and intentional. All live sessions are recorded and saved in the archive so you can train on your own schedule if you miss a class. If you're ready to stop guessing, stop piecing things together, the Grove is for you. Join now and we'll train together inside the community.